Mr. Yanukovych pledged to amend recently approved tough anti-protest laws, reshuffle the government and grant an amnesty to some detained activists. But opposition leader Vitaly Klitschko said the protesters now wanted the president to resign. In Kiev, protesters were again throwing Molotov cocktails and stones at police. As night fell, they also burnt tires on the barricades on Rushevsky Street, the scene of recent deadly clashes near the main protest camp on the capital's Independence Square. Fireballs lit up the sky and plumes of thick smoke rose from the burning tires. Riot police responded with tear gas and dozens of protesters were treated at a makeshift medical area. Witnesses said several arrests were made. Earlier, the protesters seized a number of government offices across Ukraine. The crisis escalated this week when the first deaths in the unrest happened. 2 protesters were shot dead during clashes on Rushevsky Street. The opposition says they were killed by riot police or snipers. The government denies the claim. And an activist was found dead in woods near Kiev after apparently being abducted, tortured and left to die in the snow. The demonstrations were initially triggered by Mr. Yanukovych's government last-minute decision to ditch a proposed association and free trade deal with the EU in November, under heavy pressure from neighboring Russia. But the protests later widened their demand to include the fight against what activists say are widespread government corruption and abuse of power. The authorities deny the allegations. All legal means. At a meeting with religious leaders in Kiev, Mr. Yanukovych pledged to change the anti-protest laws rushed through Parliament last week and reshuffle the government at an urgent session of Parliament due to begin on Tuesday. And he said an amnesty would be granted to those detained activists who had not committed grave crimes. But Mr. Yanukovych vowed to use all legal means if a solution to the crisis were not found. He also said that those officials linked to the use of force against the protesters would be sacked. Speaking shortly afterwards, Mr. Klitschko, a former heavyweight world champion, said the offer had come too late. Today, people are demanding the resignation of the president, he was quoted as saying by the Interfax Ukraine news agency. Talks between the opposition and the president have stalled. On Thursday night, protesters in Kiev's Independence Square, widely known as Maidan, voted to stop any further talks, and the decision was taken to expand the main protest camp.